There is a moment in your life, and you won't know it when it happens, when someone you love says something to you that you are not yet ready to hear. I spent 60 years carrying one of those moments without even knowing it was there. My name is Harold. I'm 84 years old, and for most of my life I would have told you that my father and I had a perfectly fine relationship. Not a great one, but a fine one. We spoke when we needed to. We were in the same room without it being uncomfortable. I thought that was enough. Thought that was what men did. I grew up in a small town in Ohio. My father was a quiet man, not cold, just contained. He worked at a machine shop for 32 years. He came home, he ate dinner, he watched the news, and then he went to bed. That was the rhythm of our house. And I don't remember a time when I questioned it, because it was all I knew. I was a good student, not brilliant, but steady. I got a scholarship to a state school about 3 hours from home, and I remember the morning I left, my father walked me out to the car. He stood there for a moment, and he said something. He said, "Harold, don't let this thing get away from you." I looked at him and I said, "What thing?" And he just shook his head and said, "You'll see." I got in the car and I drove away, and I didn't think about it again for years. I built a life. I married a woman named Carol. We had 2 sons. I got a job in sales and I was good at it, so I worked harder, and then I worked more, and then I worked even more. I wasn't doing it out of greed. I genuinely believed that if I could just get to a certain place, financially, professionally, everything else would fall into place on its own. That's what I believed. And nobody told me otherwise, or if they did, I wasn't listening. Carol tried. I know that now. She would say things like, "Harold, you're here, but you're not really here." And I would nod and say I understood, and then the next Monday I'd be back at it the same way. I didn't understand what she meant. I thought being present meant being in the room. I didn't know it meant something else entirely. My boys grew up fast. That's the thing about children. They don't wait for you to be ready. One day they're small, and you think you have all the time in the world, and then they're teenagers, and then they're grown, and the window you thought was always open is quietly closed. My oldest, David, he stopped calling me when he was about 25. Not out of anger, he just stopped. And I let him, because I didn't know what to say to him, and I think he didn't know what to say to me either. I didn't go to my father's funeral the way most sons do. I mean, I was there. I stood in the back, but I didn't cry. I didn't feel the weight of it the way I was supposed to. I just felt numb, and I thought that was grief, but looking back, I think it was something closer to guilt. Because somewhere inside me, I knew I had failed him, or failed to understand him, and I couldn't even explain how. My father passed when I was 47. Carol and I divorced when I was 52. Not dramatically. We just ran out of things that connected us, and one day we both admitted it. She moved to be closer to her sister. I stayed in the house. And for a while, life just continued the way it always had, quietly, steadily, without much interruption. I retired at 68, and that's when everything slowed down enough for me to actually hear my own thoughts. The silence in that house was enormous. Not uncomfortable at first, just present. But over time it started to feel heavy. And one evening, I was sitting in the kitchen, the same kitchen where I'd eaten dinner for 30 years, and for no reason I can explain, my father's words came back to me. All of them. Don't let this thing get away from you. And for the first time, I understood what he meant. He wasn't talking about money. He wasn't talking about my career. He was talking about the people right in front of me. He was talking about the small, quiet moments that you walk right past because you're moving too fast to notice them. He was talking about Carol sitting across from me at dinner, trying to reach me. He was talking about my boys, standing in the doorway, watching me leave again. He was talking about all of it, the whole living, breathing thing, and he was telling me not to let it slip through my fingers. And I did. I let it slip. Not all at once. Slowly. One day at a time, over decades, I let the most important thing in my life become the thing I paid the least attention to. I called David after that evening. We talked for about 20 minutes. It was awkward, the way it is when two people who love each other have forgotten how to say so. But we talked. And we've talked since then. Not every day, but enough. Enough to know he's there. Enough to know I'm there too. I think about my father differently now. I don't think he was a distant man. I think he was a man who learned too late what I just learned, and he spent the last years of his life trying to warn me. Not with a long speech or a letter or any grand gesture. Just one sentence. One quiet, honest sentence from a man who didn't have the words for everything, but had enough for that. If you are listening to this, and there is someone in your life who is saying something to you that you don't quite understand yet, don't walk away from it. Sit with it. Let it stay. Because one day, when everything is quiet, you are going to hear it again. And when you do, you are going to wish you had listened the first time. I'm 84 years old, and I finally understand what my father was trying to tell me. I just wish I hadn't needed 60 years to get there.